This really has no meaning. We have to put this in grams. Zero it out. 7 grams. Wow, it is super light. This is a very EDC item. So okay, so let's begin with the cons. The cons of this item. So I would say number one, it's actually quite hard to find cons for this, except for very small constructive criticism, or I would say just nitpicks as usual. So first would be the tritium slots. He's famous for tritium slots on all his EDC items, and basically the items look kind of like unfinished if you don't put the tritium slots. So when you're thinking about buying it, I would recommend that you go ahead and purchase the tritium slots. He doesn't really charge actually that much for the tubes, $6 each, but that can add to the cost. So there'll be 4 here, that's $24 extra, and I would say it's worth it because tritium is one of those kind of radioactive process decay that emits a glow. And let's see if we can pick this up, run a UV light on it so you can see it. And then so they last, I think, up to 20 years. So the half-life is about 10 years from the manufacturing start time. And so if just say in 10 years, it's going to be around 50% of the brightness. 10 years and you divide that cost of the item and the trits, it's not that much. I think it's worth, splurging for the trits. But if you leave the slots empty, then it kind of looks unfinished. So that would be a thing. If you're not a fan of trits, then the design, it doesn't quite look finished. So that would be a little bit of a nitpick. And what else? I would say that there are limited runs. He basically come up with these items and they just don't, he doesn't run them for a long time. So he has like kind of a limited amount. As I checked this, it's already sold out. But I believe there's some EDC marketplaces that are still carrying it. So you should go around and check it out. And at the very minimum, you should go and check out his website or subscribe to his Facebook, etc., so that you can see what else he has to offer. Another thing that I would say that for a constructive criticism is that they could have put maybe in one extra slot. So here's a slot that stops the blade, and here's a slot that it's in the resting position when it's closed. What makes it special is that it has a toolless design that you can disassemble. So if they put in one extra slot, and this is a very, very nitpick, they don't have to put it as sort of a safety. You just want to have to stop it here and be like, are you sure you want to remove the blade? And yet, one more try, you can to release it. Then I think that would be pretty cool, I guess. But it's just a nitpick. To be honest, it doesn't really need an extra slot. Now let's go with the pros. So I would say the price. Normally, I'm going to try to get out of this bad habit. Because normally I would say a lot of times when I post some kind of item, I would say the price is sort of a con, because the reason I say that is because you can, of course, buy an xacto blade for probably like $5 or $10, and you don't need something so fancy, but you're here because you want something a little bit more fancy in your EDC. So I would say, I don't want to get into that in the future about complaining about the price. That of course you can buy something more practical for cheaper. Of course that's the case. So I would say the price is good, and I want the price to reflect more about how the price is within the certain whatever the market is demanding. I would say what the current price demands for something of this type of item and the materials and the quality. So I would say the price is good because it is a titanium. It's a titanium knife that has high precision milling, and it's all under $100. It's 75 USD, and then the shipping, it wasn't that expensive. It was like $5. So this was $80 shipped to my door, and if you had the trits installed, that would have been like 100 and something, like 104. So I think that's a really good price for something of a limited run with high quality finishing, and the design is so excellent. So I think I would say a price is a pro. The toolless design, my number one favorite characteristic of a knife like this, a utility blade, a utility knife, A tool is designed to disassemble, so all you have to do is lift and slide it out, and ta-da, just like that. And then you can just, this is just friction fit over here, so you can replace the blade as you wish. If you don't like to sharpen, I'm a person who just basically will sharpen my utility blades, and you kind of get, you get a little more romantic bonding, because of course these blades just don't have a high edge retention, but you can strap them or sharpen them with a ceramic rod daily if you use your knife daily, and it's very easy to sharpen these things. So I would say that's you know, it's quite nice. So it's very easy to switch out the blade if you wanted to, if you're inside one of these situations, which is why I love a toolless design, where you're going to a sensitive area. You could remove the blade and then just reattach this part into it, and it's basically not a knife anymore. So this can go into the, you know, the courthouse, or it can go onto the plane, or some kind of like museum, or whatever kind of situation where you forgot that you had a knife with you, and then you just got to get rid of the blade or hide it or whatever you want to do with the blade, just so you just don't lose your knife, your total knife. So it's really great when you travel. You can just pick up a blade at the other end of the destination and have still the utility of a knife in any destination. So I love that kind of, you know, it's about the replaceable blade one, and it's also about, you don't need tools, so you don't have to, you know, unscrew anything or carry specific tools just to replace a blade. And it's by Smart Design that is able to do this. I'll throw up the video on how, because I had to install the trits, and it is a pain in the butt. I recommend people just to pay for the trit to be installed from Steve Koo if possible. It's a very, very, very cool design. I'm very, very, very impressed. It's like basically there's like two magnets that are sandwiched on this part here, and there's two magnets over here. So it's kind of staggered position. So every time you push this way, you're pushing this magnet off, and then when you let go, the magnet will want to always attract. So it's pushing off, and the magnets will want to attract back. So that's a way to have a springless design using magnets. So that's great. If you're a person who wants to heat anodize your knife, then you're gonna have to remove those magnets. You're gonna have to go through the trouble of removing those magnets and reinstalling. I would say that it took me about 10 minutes to kind of learn how to assemble it, but I probably can reassemble it probably in under a minute for sure. So you would have to install this side first, you know, sandwich it and slide it in, and after you do that, you'll slide in the other two magnets on this side. So very cool design. I'm actually quite glad that I was able to take it apart and to see how it works. And the guy Steve who came up with this idea is really brilliant. I love it. Okay, so another pro is the fit and finish. The fit and finish is crazy maze balls. Look at it. It's just like, you know, he went through all the extra step to basically make the tritium viewable on both sides. So this is kind of like a little bit pro and con, because I would say that if you had like these kind of slots and tritium slots and into any kind of item, whether it's a flashlight or knife or anything like that, you could, for a cheap way, is use something like these sort of glow epoxy like this, and you mix this with like UV resin or your favorite like nail, your wife's clear nail polish. You can mix that, and actually you can fill in, you know, slots cheaper. You know, it only costs a couple of bucks. It only costs a couple of bucks to do it that way. Then you have glow in the dark slots. But the way he designed this, like, you cannot fill this in with anything. So it's definitely made for tritium tubes, and you'll have the advantage of just being able to view on both sides, and just crazy precise milling. The fit and finish is superb, and wow, it's like I don't know who's doing his milling job or what, but it is crazy. It's super high quality. So definite pro. So whatever you're paying for your money, it's just like you're getting your money's worth for sure. Okay, so that's pretty much it. You know, conclusion. It's a very superb high fit finish knife with a super smart design for $75. It's wow, it's crazy. I can't believe it. And you know, this thing is made out of titanium, and it's everything. This could command more. I don't want to say that because I don't want them to raise prices, but I feel like it could command more. And this kind of blade thing is very sharp. The blade doesn't touch any part of the housing, so you have remain a absolute sharp knife. And the way it's designed, if you actually, let me just say also, I want to give a tip on how to actually how to use the knife to open and close it. When you push this up out of the way, out of the slot, and you slide it up like this, don't keep your finger here and then slide up, because your finger actually might keep the pressure open, so it might pass. I would say 90% of the time it's going to catch into here, and maybe the 10% time you might be overzealous and like maybe surpass that. There's actually a block here, so it won't go past this. But if you're like overzealous, you can go back like this way, pass on the rear side. But I would say on normal use, you're more likely when you're opening and closing, your meat is here. So even if your meat is going to stop it from over traveling. But I would say the best way to run this open and close is to just basically slide like this and then push it like this way off of the thing. And what this does is that it puts less pressure of your finger onto this this cartridge, and then so there's less friction, there's less grinding feeling, and it slides easily, and it's 100%. Every time I did this, like push this up and then slide it like with my finger off of this thing, like this, it always clicks 100%. So it's super smooth when you do it like this way. So I would recommend when you opening closing, you do it like with this method. So very, very good sliding feel. I can't recommend this enough. So this is of course it has a limitation. It's a knife for delicate work, and if you were to hold it as a pen knife to do delicate work as so, you can see that the way he designed it is like it's meant to be actually ergonomic. So look at this. I mean, I thought maybe this guy might be a fan of like of Teslas or something like that, because it sort of looks like a Cybertruck from this angle, but it's not. But it's very, very cool. There's a lot of thinking. So you got the jimping here, and then you could push it like this way and do very precise. If you're like a art student or anything, like you need, whatever reason you might need a precise cut, this will do it for you. So highly recommend. Actually, even it'll do a more precision cut than any of your folders. No folder out there that I know can do a precision cut like this that an X-Acto can do. So it takes X-Acto number 11 knife, very easy to find. Not hardware store, stationery store or art store. So very cool. That's pretty much it. I don't want to go make this video super long, but that's pretty much it. This is I would say a highly recommend EDC knife. And that's it. So if you like EDC knives and you're into different type of knives and EDC products, you can subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my Instagram, which I usually will foreshadow whatever item I am reviewing or testing currently. So I will usually thoroughly test it so I can have a very firm and opinionated view. And of course, my view is not 100% fact. You can take the pros and cons as you will. And so that's it. All right, subscribe, share, like, all that stuff. See you next time. Bye.
girls with their nails done now.